We're back. I'm dying today, gents, so take it easy on me. I'll let you guys run with it, but I didn't want to miss it. There's been a very pivotal moment in the industry, and we need to talk about it.
What is the pivot? What is this great pivot? Is it the Fed?
I don't think the Fed's got anything to do with it. It's got to do with the fact that the SUSHI CEO that was elected as a thing for horses.
Allegedly.
I think this is factual.
I mean,
right here.
You can't make this shit up, can you? I mean, it's just unbelievable.
I signed in this morning and it was just horse this, horse that. And I was like, oh God, what's happened? And you know when you try and like imagine the worst possible thing that could have happened, and it's just like, right, okay, I'll go and try and find the source of like this kind of this meme and this humor, and then it's just like, oh shit, I wasn't expecting that. It blew my expectations out of the water. I don't know. I mean, it's all you know what it's like when people pick something up and run with it. It's like every other tweet. Like this is top like 9 hours ago, 1 hour ago. If you got the latest on searching horse sushi, there's literally a tweet every single second. But I don't know. Yeah, so chat.
I thought I was done.
The CEO of
I thought
sushi.
I was done laughing. I thought I was done laughing over this. I can't stop. I think we're just gonna have to call this freaking stream now.
You've got to take everything you see on like Twitter with a pinch of salt, haven't you? But this is because they've just elected the new kind of head chef, as they call them. Which, you know, a couple of days later, it all came out that he might have been a little bit dodgy, even without bringing the horse meme into question. But even if obviously nothing has happened, I think it's a bit of a meme anyway. But these things take hold and just spread like wildfire. And even if nothing has happened, which I'm not saying it has or it hasn't, it's just the accusation itself sticks more than actually doing something like this, I think.
Something's definitely happened, though.
I wonder if we can find like the original. There was like an original tweet, wasn't there? But
where there's smoke, there's fire, right?
But yeah, it's like what's that? 10%? 10% drop. Jared Gray's called, so if we have a little look at what this guy's been up to. So this, I read this earlier, I forgot to send it in the chat before this. So it says, back in 2012, Jared Gray scammed some people and made several time copyright infringements through his company Multiplex PC. In the year 2019, the year I met him, the first after he became CEO of ALQO, why he removed all tracks from his social media of ALQO. Shortly later, he introduced a web wallet for ALQO, which was used to steal 70% of the total supply of users ALQO. Meanwhile, he scammed customers together with his dev, Kevin Colmer. He got several coin founders to pay him 1 BTC for listings for the exchange, Bitfinion, that never went online. I talked to some and came to the conclusion that he scammed over 20 Bitcoin this way. In 2020, he relabeled ALQO to EONS and moved from its own blockchain to ETH ERC20, very likely to kill all traces of ALQO. With this, I lost all hope in Sushi Shop, this Yannick Crypto.eth said. So there's definitely previous with this guy, but I do believe he's kind of came back and tried to address the kind of accusations, and obviously came out. Let me be clear. The accusations towards me are 100% untrue. For your information, 2019, my business partner stole funds from our community while I was busy raising funds to launch the Bitfinion exchange. And he just kind of goes into all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's Sushi is so cursed, it's unbelievable. But I think it's one of those things where, because they came out of the gates and did what they did initially and tried to vampire attack Uniswap, all of those that back Uniswap, all the big capital behind that, Uniswap are effectively a feeder product from the whole Ethereum Foundation anyway. So you've kind of got that baggage on the back end as well. So any kind of stab at them is a stab at Ethereum in that sense. That's like my kind of overall view of it. So the Sushi and Uni just went back to back, head to head for like a number of years now, and I think what was his name? Something DeLong, who just recently left Sushi. He's been on record, like on Up Only and things like that, saying that they physically hated one another. Like these two camps, like Uni and Sushi, just like really, really had like a strong hatred for one another, which is kind of understandable. Sushi came out and just effectively copied their product and then iterated on top of it, where Uniswap couldn't because of regulation and things. But so you never know who's making this kind of stuff up. But if you're going to be brave and do what they did with Sushi, then you kind of got to expect this thing further down the line.
I mean, the one thing that I've learned in a very short period of time in this space is that you don't burn bridges. You don't. I mean, obviously that applies to life in general, but especially in this space. You know, if you have an opportunity to extend the olive branch, you do it without even thinking twice, even if it makes you feel uncomfortable, because it's not going to land up serving you at all. And I think if there's ever a time where that's played out, it's been Sushi, and Sushi's been plagued, as we know, especially over the last year. You know, Danny tried. I think a lot of people have tried, and now this dude's stepping in. I really don't see a bright future for Sushi. I think the only way forward for these guys is to start growing some olive trees and start bringing in some good people. And clearly, you know, irrespective of, you know, we don't know whether this guy's a good guy or not. He could be targeted, but how does he actually recover from this? How do you actually recover from what's just happened? And I mean, dude, like, you've been implicated with a horse. I mean, that's some serious shit right there.
Oh god.
I don't know. You're not going to recover from that one, dude. Just don't.
Yeah, so like he's saying all this stuff about like his previous company. The thing we want to know is, was it true with what you did with the horse? Is that true? Yes or no? I want to see a 10-page Twitter thread on the history and the reasoning behind that. That's what I want to see, not this jargon.
There's there's no wonder we'll never be like the number one fucking podcast in this space, because we don't give any information. We give nothing important out. It's just completely taking the piss out of everything that happens.
None of us can go and get caught doing stupid shit like this.
All right.
The thing is, maybe the dude is innocent, but it's just there's no ways that he ever will be, irrespective. I mean,
he's not innocent anymore.
In all seriousness, coming back to being the number one podcast, you've got to keep your nose clean. You can't be doing stupid shit. You just can't. Whether it's
you saying this
whether
to me or Dan?
Just as a general fact. I mean, just don't be fondling horses, guys.
Yeah, as you can imagine, there's been some incredible memes. Like this Scott guy, head of NFT product at Uniswap. The Uniswap unicorn has been moved to a secure location. Full stop.
There we go.
And then the bullet chain guys, yeah. God. And then SPF, equitable direct access, the way the market access should work. And then someone's replied to him saying, SPF, a horse just got fingered. This is not the time. Oh God. I mean, it's the only thing that keeps you going when the markets are so horrendous.
But the thing is that despite the fact that the market's horrendous, moving on to the next topic, what exactly is Sam doing at the moment? I mean, he keeps on posting not financial advice, but then he's buying like, 3 million of this and 3 million of that. And I mean, what is he doing? I mean, what exactly is going on here? There's definitely a story that's unfolding here with FTX and obviously FTT. I mean, what is your take on what's going on here?
I think he's putting a flag up because he knows something's bubbling under the surface, and potentially with all this regulatory landscape and things like that, I wouldn't be surprised if not in this market, but the fact that the groundwork's being laid for FTX to go public.
Okay, so I mean, it's obviously very plausible that they will go public, but why go public when you already have so much? I mean, is it just because enough is never enough? I mean, how does this whole thing work? I mean, explain it to me like I'm a 4-year-old, because the dude owns everything already. I mean, what else is he looking to like take over the world? I mean, because that's essentially what he would be doing if he goes public with this thing.
Yeah, well, it probably gives them that extra capital to actually go toe to toe with Binance, doesn't it? I don't think Binance will go public, particularly not listing in the US, in my opinion. And I think this is just, if they do go public, I think it's one, they'll kind of destroy Coinbase for what it is, and two, that probably gives them primary access to the US markets, which no one has really tackled as much as they should do. It's like that's just such a blue ocean. That's a regulatory fucking nightmare. But I think with the right people in the right places, particularly with a public product, it'll probably go on to do better things. So, and it just seems like the typical playbook, doesn't it, for the likes of SBF and things like that. I really wouldn't be surprised with it going public. Yeah. But I don't really know how the tokenization and the equity works. I don't know how that, I wouldn't like to say how that typically works. So I don't know. I just feel like that's his natural progression, just plays the full game from start to finish. And that's probably where it'll end up.
When Coinbase listed at the top, what was the valuation of the company back then? Was it like 90 bill or something like that? What was it? Do you remember?
It was huge.
It was huge.
I think I'd say Sam's doing this because the only thing that any of the guys have got up on him and FTX is that Coinbase are listed. That's bragging rights. When you're a big dick like these boys, it's not about the money anymore. It's about bragging rights and what you can achieve in like a political sense.
Well, we do know that from a political perspective, Sam is. I mean, he's funded Biden's campaign. He plans on funding the next one. So, he obviously is politically aligned from that perspective. And I mean, what Grant's saying makes complete sense logically, is that, from a regulatory perspective, they're probably more in the loop than anybody else in terms of what's happening on a government level, especially in the US. And, jokes aside, irrespective of how much they've got, you're 100% correct, Dan. It's kind of like, it is all about being the biggest and the best, and Binance is the next competitor. It's going to be a huge thing to try and take out Binance, from a competitive perspective. But that's how you do it, I suppose. You go and raise an evaluation of, what is it? What was the evaluation back then? $342 a share. I mean, it was insane. It was close to 100 billion.
Yeah, it was like 75 bill.
75. Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, FTX, even if they come in this market, they could quite easily come in at that in terms of who Sam is and what Sam's done. It's like, I mean, obviously there needs to be a book that's, got its valuation in there, but I think, yeah, maybe they will list. And then, this token sitting at what, $24 at the moment. What is the scope of that?
What was it at its peak? Wasn't it like closing on 100? Yeah.
No, it was like 80, wasn't it? 80, 90? Yeah, just under 90.
84.
75. 84, okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I mean, there's, and he's buying at the moment. I mean, this is the third week now in a row that he's bought close to $3 million worth that he's telling us about, anyways. Something's afoot.
Something's definitely going on. But sure, isn't that like illegal what he's doing? Isn't that like trying to pump his bags? Because we obviously had like Kim Kardashian. She obviously got done for shilling a shit NFT, and now he's literally like pumping an exchange's bag.
I'm sure he knows what he's doing, bro. Like,
True.
if there's anyone who knows what he's doing, it's him. So be very surprised if what he's doing is not in order. I can assure you he's had legal advice, and his legal advice probably said if you just state that it's not financial advice, you're all good. I mean, CZ does it all the time in terms of making statements.
Yeah, should we have a look at what's happening with this Twitter takeover?
So it's happening, right? This is on.
I think it looks to be on. Yeah, trying to play hardball now, but that's a naughty team of investors right there: Elon Musk, Binance, and Sequoia.
Well, I mean, this is an interesting combination, as we discussed beforehand. I mean, imagine Binance being at the foundation of one of the greatest social media platforms on the planet, and probably the most respected. I mean, none of the others are really respected, like at the same level that Twitter is, for what it's worth. And imagine the leverage that they could put in place, as Binance through Twitter. I mean, it's huge. Like, everyone's playing their game at the moment, and SBF might be playing let's list, and Binance is like way ahead, in this fucking large spaceship that is Twitter, and they're just going to freaking milk this thing proper, in ways that we won't even know is happening before our very eyes.
This is where crypto lives, right? Crypto is Twitter. Like, before crypto came out, like, Twitter was pretty much dead and gone. It was just for the odd celebrity and, political influencers posting about whatever stuff's going on then. So the fact that this is like, that this controls such a big part of what's going to become, history, is huge for these fellas. They've obviously seen the opportunity there.
Well, it's also Fin Twitter as well, hey? And Fin Twitter is also big, bro. Like, it's not just crypto. Fin Twitter is also big. There's some big players in that space, but also on the same level. Twitter isn't just exclusive to the crypto community. It's got its communities within it. Trust me, it's not just us. I mean, we're a big part of it, but there's a whole lot of other stuff going on Twitter. It's just whether you're willing to go down those roads.
Yeah, but even like Sam Trabucco on the FTX podcast when he left, he said, despite it being Twitter, it's still a very valuable kind of pricing indicator of where, because he said a lot of their investment thesis was based on what is the price now and what will people value the price at in the future. I know that's really, really stupid and really, really high level, but effectively they were farming the data and kind of narrative from Twitter to kind of base in and bake in their predictions on price, so they could effectively take up a position, particularly in the bull market. So if you've got like Alameda and Sam Trabucco and things like that using this as a tool for sentiment and narrative as well, it's like not to be kind of glossed over, despite people thinking they're too prestigious or too smart to not use Twitter and things like that. I think it's a bit of a stupid move in my opinion. But yeah, did you see kind of the text messages that Elon and the Twitter guys were going back and forth? He was effectively saying, we need to do the takeover, we need to take it private to fix some of the real issues with it, because if we do it publicly, the stock price will get destroyed. So inevitably, that means that once they do fix everything and they're ready to do it, they're obviously going to retake it public.
But how does that affect?
Will they delist it then? Delist it, fix it,
Yeah.
and then relist it?
I can imagine so, yeah.
Or can you freeze it? Can you say, well, we're taking... I suppose you can't. That doesn't make sense.
Mate, that would be proper fun. That would be.
Well, we are living in unprecedented times. So, I mean, anything's possible. You know.
Yeah, but every exchange on the planet jumped to list Twitter, so it wouldn't really matter.
Yeah, true. Wouldn't really matter. You're right.
It turned into the ultimate meme coin, though, with Elon and CZ behind it.
Sure.
Right, like we said last week, BSC shitcoin season is coming.
So, I mean, obviously, just kind of circling back
any season at the minute.
I mean, just circling back to that Binance hack of 500-600 million. So the dude managed to essentially remove 100 million from that ecosystem. Is there kind of like a possibility that he's going to be able to get any of that money out, or do you think he's going to get stopped at every gate?
I'd say it depends how well he washes it.
Yeah. Was there any update from it recently?
It's worth taking a look because I think it's quite relevant in light of, you know, how important decentralization is versus centralization when something like this happens. We've obviously discussed it quite extensively on our stream. You know, we obviously value decentralization, but, you know, when something like this happens, is it, once again, like to what extent do you intervene from a centralization perspective? You know, does CZ get on the phone and, you know, like stop the off ramps? You know, is he able to, or is it kind of like, is that horse bolted? I mean, I had to bring the horse into it.
Oh, mate, that would create that would mean he would have so much actual power if he could literally halt what comes in and out of the crypto space. That would take like decentralization down the wrong rabbit hole. If he would say like, right, I'm stopping everything now from going in and out, so then he can get his money back, that just crosses a massive line of trust. Massive line.
Well, they do it with Circle and Tether anyway, don't they? They just blacklist the wallets that are using it.
Yeah,
true.
Yeah.
So
that narrative is very present. It's very present.
Yeah. Hasn't really been kind of anything followed up from the back of it. And usually that means they've probably managed to get away with it. But I don't know. It'll probably come out in the next few days that they found him.
It's good stuff. I bet you see he's got like an underground basement set of little goblins out there trying to find where all this money's gone on chain.
Well, I think someone came out and said, yeah, they said they had a credible lead upon who they thought it might have been, that they're working with the authorities. So I don't know if that's all smoke and mirrors to kind of force the hand. Do you know what I mean? But I don't know. Interesting. What do you want to talk about? Portugal just killed himself. Just hacked themselves.
Yeah, I mean,
see, that's a shame, man. I was thinking about moving there as well.
I think a lot of people were. I think there's quite a few Brits that have been planning to go and live in Portugal and have initiated that whole process. You know, some successful crypto millionaires who were looking to move to Portugal, and I'm sure they're going to rethink it. So it's short-term gains, right?
Yeah,
so short-term gains. If you're a trader and you're making profits, they'll tax you 28%. It's pretty much what that is.
Yeah. But, you know, I don't know. I think it's a bit of a knee-jerk reaction. I don't.
Knee-jerk reaction.
I honestly don't get. Well, everyone's struggling at the minute, aren't they? And they just want to kind of come in and like implement this tax. But you're probably going to see, if you came in with something sensible, you'd have got kind of like expat retention, I think, as opposed to just going balls to the wall, putting 28% on short term capital gains. These people have money; they have the flexibility to go and live where they want. If they're concerned with tax, it's because they have money and they don't want to give tax up. So
totally.
It's completely fucking stupid. So they're just going to up sticks and leave somewhere else. I hope they don't come near me. I like it. I like my setup at the minute.
Yeah, I mean, I think Portugal has got a whole lot of positives going for it in terms of living there. You know, it's like it's got waves, it's got good weather, it's got good food, it's got affordable prices on housing. You can go and live in the country and buy something for next to nothing. You know, why not rather attract that money in and let the money be spent in the country and get the benefit of that elsewhere, as opposed to imposing a tax, which is effectively just going to chase everyone away. But hey, what do we know, bro? We're just a bunch of DJs.
Well, what's strange is you'd have thought countries would be so much more open to it, because if you look at it in the first half of this year, like funds had invested like 33 billion into the crypto space. Now, let's just say on average, a crypto coin or project does a 10x. That's 330 billion. 100x, that's like 3.3 trillion that they could potentially be bringing into their country and their economy. It doesn't make sense to be so against it when there's so much money flooding into it.
Yeah, that's like Grant was saying, the guys are taking strain. There's pain all around, and it's a knee-jerk reaction, and they're looking for as much kind of revenue streams as they can. And, you know, obviously the government's main revenue stream is always going to be a tax thing. And let's see where we can maximize our tax collection. Oh, look, there's a crypto crowd. Let's tax them. That's what that is.
Agreed.
Yeah, it's a bit short-sighted for me, but yeah, what do I know? Does someone want to bring up? I'll send it to you in the chat. Just what's going on with Huobi?
Yeah, so that's interesting. I saw that Justin Sun's buying it. I mean,
they're just rumors at the moment, but he's been put on the global ambassadors board.
I mean, how is that dude just completely and utterly just owned the space in his own way? Like, you know, people make fun of him. He's done some pretty crazy shit, but he really does kick ass, doesn't he? I mean, his own way, his own rules. Like, it just seems like he just knows exactly what he's doing. And a lot of people don't like him. I don't mind him, just for the record. I think he's pretty cool in terms of how he just does his own thing. I like that about him. But there's a lot of guys out there that don't like Justin at all. Imagine if he buys this exchange, you guys are going to hate him even more.
It's a huge exchange as well, and
yeah,
obviously this acquisition's going through because I think they were primarily based out in Asia, and obviously everything at the minute with China and things like that, they had to up sticks and leave. But there's an awful lot of emerging exchanges that are going to do extremely well, I think. I mean, I was at the MEXC event in Singapore recently. They've just released their incubator and things, and you know, it's not a Binance, but you have to kind of keep tabs on these things, because if we've learned anything, particularly in the bear market, these are the only things that hold up well and are still maintaining profitability. Seen it with GMX, despite it being a completely different product. But even OKX making huge kind of marketing moves with regards to sponsoring Man City, F1, things like that. It's just, they're obviously still printing, obviously still doing extremely well. So that probably harks back to why FTX want to go public. There'd be a ridiculous appetite for an exchange that actually does the business and is extremely profitable. So it could be literally one of the most profitable companies and one of the most highest revenue generating companies on the planet if they play it right. particularly with public?
So I mean, this kind of just got me thinking around like something that I was concerned about, particularly in the DeFi space. You know, when you've got your big influencers on crypto Twitter commenting around the next narrative being exchanges and derivatives exchanges and the rest of it. And I mean, we know that in light of the conversation that we've just had, we know that it's a huge market. But my concern is that do we reach a point in the market where there's just too many players trying to service, for example, a derivatives exchange market? You know, my initial thoughts were maybe in a bull market, there's no ways there's going to be enough to go around in terms of exchanges. You probably could set up 30 exchanges and they'll all do well. But in the current marketplace, we're seeing that there's a lot of interest around guys wanting to set up these exchanges. And I was just wondering what you guys thought about that. Is there a critical point where, you know, there's just too much of it, or do you think there's just enough to go around?
I think people will vote with the tokens, I suppose, with regards to that. So people will actually go where's the best place to trade. Particularly, it's easier to do now when we're in kind of low volume, low liquidity environment, so you can quite easily discern where you actually want to trade. As you say, well, in a bull market when liquidity is a little bit more fruitful, it's a bit more difficult. But we'll probably just see exactly what we've seen with the whole spot deck space, where you had 1,000,001 different kind of spot dexes like that were spinning up every single day. You had your uni forks, your sushi forks, everything that kind of came on top of that, and then it just gets saturated to the point where it's no longer profitable for the exchange to stay open, and their tokens went to absolute dog shit, and no one wants to use it, no one is using it, and then they just revert back to what they know, like probably first mover advantage or someone who's got a better product market fit. So everyone's always just kind of pushing towards the same kind of thing because they know it's the only thing that's profitable at the minute. And there are good products. Yeah. GMX, Hero will be the great product. But I guarantee when there's a bull market back, everyone's probably not going to want to be a derivatives exchange. They want to be the next shiny, maybe NFT project or something like that. So it's just because there's lack of opportunity now that I think we're seeing a lot of people spin up and try to replicate what they've seen as a success. It's just down to lack of opportunity at the minute.
Okay, makes sense. Next thing, Dan, your newsletter on Bearer Chain was absolute killer, bro. Killer. Like, really, that thing is like so fucking cool,
dude. Like doing the research into that was like the most mind-boggling thing in the world, because it is like one little video game when you open up a door and then this door just goes into another world that comes down to a small door which comes into another world. And like the way these boys have actually done it is absolutely mental. Because if you look at the actual tech of what the chain is going to be and how it's going to work, yeah, that's gigabrain stuff. Yeah, awesome. But it's when you break down like all these different NFTs and, you know, the story that goes behind them and how they've actually managed to rebase the NFTs. So then the NFTs almost like keep breeding. And then, yeah, like it's, I don't want to say it's a proper good Ponzi, but it is a proper good Ponzi. And I think it's going to be, I think it's going to be like the most proper good Ponzi. And I really like these guys and love what they're doing. But I think it's going to be like the best Ponzi of the bear market, literally. But it's going to be good. Yeah. It'll be fun. It'll be fun. And because there's so much like, there's narrative, there's fun, there's hype. It's making crypto fun again. Instead of all, and like these are great, but all these like real yield, APR, APY generating, you put your money in, you let it do whatever it does, then it comes back out again. I get to buy a bong bear, and this bong bear looks like Black Sabbath. Oh, that's awesome. And this bong bear just gave birth to a bond bear, which then gave birth to a boo bear, a bear bit, and a baby bear. So then what can I do with all of these? That how cool is that? And then what? They're gonna maybe have like a DAO and baseball cards, dude. That is awesome. And you mean I get like 1,000%? Sorry, I get like 10,000% APY for rebasing my bears from a bear bit to a boo bet to a bam bear? How cool is that?
Yeah, it is cool. But those bong bears, so the bong bears are the source, right? So they're the source of the whole thing, and they are going for like what, 150 ETH now.
They're the genesis. And so the story was that they were only going to make 100 of them, but the devs were I think Smoking Papa, they were high and they accidentally allocated one of the bears twice. There's actually 101 bears, with one being duplicate, and the person who got that duplicate didn't burn it. So instead of there being 120, I think it's supposed to be 126, there's now actually 127 because they saved, I think it was 25 or 26 for like influencers and special people. I don't know if you've seen the collection, but you've got one of Zeus, the Omi, and then you've got one of like War Turtle as well, which is pretty sweet.
I've got a sneaking suspicion that's they were for the initial seed investment.
Oh, I've read the rumors, and like there's one guy like there's a couple of the guys on Twitter. They make really good informative threads, but you can tell why people miss it. It's because they write in that such like dumbass kind of tone that you just think, oh, this guy's an absolute retard. But then this guy's cut that out. That came out completely wrong. This guy's a complete idiot. But when you actually read between the lines of the alpha he's putting, you could unravel this whole thing of like the bearer chain to the bears from day one with this dude.
Yeah, the marketing's been, it's so clever it comes off as stupid. Do you know what I mean? That's the whole thing, because it's on the surface it looks like a meme chain. Yeah, but then totally. you dig into it and it's the most sophisticated consensus protocol there is, effectively, and like the most novel kind of infrastructure. It's going to have 1,000,001 things to do on day one when you get over there, which is more than we can say about a lot of chains. And you've got to look at the sort of like the caliber of people that are building over there and helping those guys out. It's top tier, kind of the new age of kind of crypto development talent and things like that. So I don't know if it's just because we've been covering it a little bit. I don't know if it's going to be saturated or might be too smart for the average, not to come across as a dick or anything, but I don't know if it's going to be too confusing and too kind of highbrow for a lot of people to get participation in, things like that. But I suppose people just flock to where opportunity is, so we'll have to see.
I think the people that are left in the crypto space now are the ones that are a little bit more savvy. So if they've left some form of gamification there or some like game or PvP element to it, I think the people that are here now, they'll love it. They'll like massively take to it. And if I've understood correctly, like the devs that are on the test nets now, they're creating everything so it's all interoperable. So everything kind of interrelates. And it's fascinating because they're like, look, we've got a liquidity crisis. What's the goal of the chain? Well, it's to keep people here. So let's create one big ecosystem where you actually can stay in here. And look, here's a cool NFT that we can all definitely maybe not relate to because doing those kinds of things aren't smart. But, you know, it's genius. These guys are genius.
Yeah, that'll do well. Just have to see and strategize how we can play it best. I'm sure it'll just be peak mania as soon as it goes live and things, but there's so many people building on there as well. It's ridiculous.
Isn't that the what's so cool about what's going on at the moment is that, you know, like I was telling Dan before we started this morning, is that if you had to kind of close me off from, you know, what's going on out in the real world, and based on, you know, all these people that we are chatting to at the moment, like all the interesting projects that are coming to the fore, and, you know, we obviously have the opportunity and I would say the privilege of being able to get, you know, the first and maybe the second glimpse on these projects. I would never think that we were in a freaking bear market, you know, outside of that. It's like it's really maybe it's like an indicator as to what's to come. The fact that we're having this discussion around the bearer chain and all this innovation, that's potentially on the cards. Like, yeah, the markets are sucky and things are tough, but it's really difficult to kind of feel bearish around what's going on in the space. In fact, I'm super bullish about what's happening. All this innovation is this, and this. What's really cool about it is that there's money. People have got money and they're spending it. They're hiring devs. They're like, they're moving, and it's really, really cool to see. So don't be too despondent. If you are out there, there's some pretty cool shit going on, man. Like, really is.
Yeah, it's just a time horizon thing, isn't it? Like,
yeah,
obviously bullish over the right time horizon. So can we finish on one last thing that you said before we started recording? And you've got a sneaking suspicion there's actually more than 21 million Bitcoin.
Well, I mean, so if you look at the Glassnode guys, the Glassnode guys just put out a report this morning, late US time, that the whales are accumulating. The on-chain data indicates that they're accumulating. And I'm like, but hang on a second. Like, fucking dudes haven't stopped selling for almost a year now. Like, it's really hard to respect the fact that there's 21 million Bitcoin, because it just seems like
they keep finding more.
They keep finding more, and people have just non-stop accumulating. I mean, listen, I am taking the piss, but it just sometimes feels like there's a lot more than 21 million Bitcoin out there. And I think we need to get someone to do a proper forensic audit on this.
Yeah, Bitcoin needs to go through a PEC shield audit to make sure.
Totally, bro. Oh, they need an audit. I think someone needs to pay the 50 Gs and get an audit done on what's going on out there, because sometimes I just think there's just more than 21 million. Just come on, guys. For how long are these people going to just sell? I mean, I sold in December already. Come on, surely people have.
Dude, did you see the picture I posted yesterday of some guy who paper-handed 14.4 million?
I saw that.
Bitcoin.
I saw that.
At the bottom, I was like, dude, what the hell?
I don't know, bro. I mean, was that a swing trade? Did he trade 14 million and made himself $10 on the trade? I mean, what was that? It's just crazy. Yeah. So maybe someone out there, if you could do an audit and let us know if there are in fact just 21 million, because right now I've got my doubts, really feeling like there might be a whole lot more.
I agree. They keep selling. No, I think a lot of it's down to obviously macro headwinds, and even factoring in the cost of energy and for miners to actually realize profits and things like that, or even trying to stay afloat at this point in time when everything points to the variables in the Bitcoin mining profitability equation being not very good at this point in time. Yeah. So I don't know.
And we all know that the Bitcoin mining profitability curve has absolutely no bearing on the price of Bitcoin. We saw that in 2018, 2019. The market doesn't give a shit, in terms of whether miners are profitable or not. I know, I've lived through that. I know exactly what that whole game is about. And market doesn't care. They really don't. They don't care if miners are not making profit. It's kind of like if there's Bitcoin around, they'll keep trading it and they'll keep selling it and they'll keep buying it. It's just the nature of markets in terms of, the Bitcoin market. But just last thing before we go, I know that you wanted to close out, Grant, but just one last thing is Zen. Have you guys seen this kind of the Hex killer, 7 days of minting, complete inflationary coin? I think it's taking the piss out of Hex. Guys have been making money on this thing. I mean, it's quite an interesting thing to see unfold. Don't know if you guys are aware of it.
No. Yeah, I saw it literally.
How does it work?
as soon as it launched.
Essentially, it's complete inflationary. It's based on absolutely nothing. It's like, dude, it's so ridiculous. But there's a market there. Like if you go and check like XEN, guys are minting it at the moment. You know, all you're doing is you're paying for gas. There's no issuance beyond the minting process. And then after 7 days, what's there remains. And obviously there's going to be billions in circulation, and then a market will be created around, well, the market already has been created. And it's pretty much in line with the way that Hex works. And a lot of guys are saying that it's going to be Hex on steroids. And if it can, it seems like it's attracting, you know, that kind of community. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. I think we're on day 3 now. No, I don't know anything around who the founder is. I don't think there is any information around that at the moment. But maybe it's something that we can discuss in the next stream. But we're on day 3 of the mint. And if you have lasted this long into our stream, go check it out. There might be a bit of an opportunity to mint some.
Oh, here we go. Bitcoin's about to take off, ladies and gentlemen. Look at that.
It's gone up by $30. Well played.
Is there? Because I've got the book map to the side of me, and I can see where they're spoofing it, and I can see where they're like trying to drag it up, pull it down, drag it up. But there's been some wicked big orders in there. You can see when in exchange it goes like really like dark red when like they're spoofing in and out like blah, blah, blah. Amazing to see.
Grant, we should actually ban him from watching that chart. It's like, seriously, not good for your mental health.
I've also got the 1 minute chart behind me as well. Because London's
of course you do.
as well.
We know.
All right.
Cool, boys. Thank you.
And when are we back? Friday. I'm delirious with it. Tuesday. Yeah. All right. So until then, if people could do all the like and subscribe stuff, that'd be great. If you're not following, you prefer to listen on Spotify or Google or Apple Podcasts, we're on there as well. So yeah, you can check that out as well. You can also leave us reviews on there if you do like. Find the funniest review, I'll send you some money as well. But you have to make me really laugh to do that.
I heard that. I'm going to go and set up some alt accounts. I need some.
All right. Thanks, fellas.
Cheers, guys.
All right, too easy.